I grew up in a small town where my family was everything to me. My parents had raised me and my elder brother with love, discipline, and the values of honesty and kindness. We didn't have much, but we always had enough to live peacefully. My brother, Salman, was 5 years older than me. When we were young, he used to protect me, help me with my homework, and even share the last piece of bread with me when times were hard. But as we grew older, things began to change. After my father passed away, my mother struggled to keep our home running. I was still in college, but my brother was already married to a woman named Syra. At first, Syra seemed polite and friendly. She smiled a lot and helped around the house. But over time, I began to notice the way she would whisper into Salman's ear after family discussions, and how his opinions suddenly became harsher toward me and our mother. My father had left a small piece of land and a modest savings account. His will was clear: everything was to be shared equally between the two of us. At the time, I trusted my brother completely, so I didn't even think about checking the bank details or the land papers. I believed we would divide everything fairly when the time came. One evening, while I was studying for an important exam, I overheard Sarah speaking in the kitchen. She didn't know I was there. Her voice was low, but I could hear every word. "Salman, why should your brother get anything? We need to think about our own future. If you give him half the land, what will we be left with? You work hard for your money. He's just a student. He can manage on his own. Tell him there's nothing left." I froze in my seat. The words cut through me like a knife. Salman didn't reply right away, but when he did, his tone was hesitant. "But it's his right. Father wanted us to share it." Sarah's voice grew sharper. "Rights? Who thinks about rights in this world? If you want to give away your share to him, then fine, but don't expect me to stay quiet when we have bills to pay. That land could be sold for a good price. We could buy a bigger house or start a business. Think about our children's future, not about some old-fashioned sense of fairness." From that day, I began to see my brother differently. I wanted to believe he wouldn't betray me, but a small seed of doubt had already been planted. A few weeks later, my mother fell ill. She needed medicine, and I didn't have enough money at the time. I asked Salman for help. His answer shocked me. "I can't," he said coldly. "I'm saving for something important. You should manage on your own." I couldn't understand it. This was the same brother who once gave me his coat in winter when I didn't have one. I went to the pharmacy myself, borrowing money from a friend. When I returned home, my mother was lying in bed, tears in her eyes. She didn't say anything, but I could tell she knew what had happened. Months passed, and Salman became more distant. I learned from a neighbor that he had sold a portion of our father's land without telling me. When I confronted him, he didn't even deny it. "I needed the money," he said, as if that was explanation enough. "You weren't using the land. It's better this way." "But it wasn't just yours to sell," I argued. "It belonged to both of us. You could have at least talked to me." Sarah stepped into the conversation, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "Why are you making this into such a big issue? He's your elder brother. He knows what's best. You should be grateful he's managing things instead of letting you waste the property." I looked at Salman, hoping for some sign of remorse. There was none. The brother I had once trusted completely now stood before me as a stranger. The final blow came when I discovered that the savings account my father had left us was empty. Salman had withdrawn it all without my knowledge. I confronted him again, and this time his response was colder than ever. "I'm not going to apologize. You're young. You'll make your own money. I have responsibilities. If you can't understand that, then that's your problem." It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the betrayal. My father had taught us that family came first, that we were supposed to protect each other. Salman had broken that trust completely, and all for greed. I stopped visiting their home after that. I focused on my studies, graduated with honors, and got a good job in the city. I sent money to my mother every month, making sure she had everything she needed. Years later, I heard that Salman's business had failed. The bigger house they bought was sold to pay off debts. Syra had left him, taking their children with her. I can't say I felt joy hearing about his misfortune, but I also couldn't ignore the irony. The very greed that had made him take everything from me had also taken everything from him. One day, he showed up at my apartment. His clothes were worn, his face lined with stress. He looked older than his years. "I made mistakes," he said quietly. "I should have treated you better." I didn't say anything at first. Part of me wanted to slam the door in his face, but another part remembered the boy who once shared his bread with me. I invited him in, gave him tea, and listened as he told me about his struggles. In the end, I helped him get a small job. I didn't do it because he was my brother. I did it because my father's voice still echoed in my heart, reminding me that kindness should never depend on someone else's actions. Salman never fully regained what he had lost, but he learned his lesson, and I learned mine. Greed can destroy not just relationships, but entire lives. But forgiveness, even when it's hard, can keep your own heart from turning cold.